I'm Tashawnya Edwards, and this is my story. I would say, if you were to ask me who I am, I would say that first and foremost, I'm a child of God. Um, for a while, I used to let basketball define me, and I would always say, I'm a basketball player, ball is life. But the older I got and the more, struggles I had with basketball, it was hard to identify myself as in the context of ball is life. Um, but no, I mean, as of now, yes, I said I'm a child of God. I am a basketball coach, formerly a basketball player. Um, I am, I'm passionate, I'm driven, I'm loving, caring, extremely caring, sympathetic, compassionate, um, but complex at times, hard on myself. That pretty much summarizes me in a nutshell. Um, Mental health to me means, um, I think it's just, I see it as internal struggles. And with that being said, there's so many, there's so many different perspectives on it to where, some people can degrade, your mental health because it doesn't like, what's the word? It doesn't like compare to how they see mental health or how they deal with mental health. Mental health is just now becoming, important for athletes just because, there have been so many suicides and everything else. And, what a lot of people don't realize is that being a mental athlete is hard. The stigma is, oh, you're an athlete, you should be able to handle, anything. Or, like, oh, if you're stressed or depressed about something, like you're being weak. Like, I feel like those are the stigmas behind mental health. And so, that's why so many players, they suppress their feelings. They try not to show their feelings, show that they're hurting. They don't reach out to anybody, when they're going through something and they feel trapped and they feel alone. I am gay, but throughout my college years, throughout my playing career, I was straight. And, I had a lot of people who, come across me, meet me, been around me. And, they instantly, think that I'm gay. And back then, I took offense to that. Just because, the way I was raised and how I thought I was, I was like, I'm not gay. You know what I'm saying? And so, it would stress me out to have to, defend myself all the time and prove myself to people that I wasn't, when at the time I really didn't think I wasn't. But, like I said, teammates, other people around me, they would notice that I was or whatever. I didn't notice that I was until after I got done playing. Um, but as far as my mental health and affecting me, like I said, I didn't consider, I didn't consider myself as gay or whatever until after, so it didn't really affect me in a sense. It would cause me like a little anxiety and stress, to sit there and have to fight uh, me being straight to people who thought I was gay, at the time when I was in college, even in high school. People would always, oh, T, you're gay, and like I said, it would bother me a lot just because in my mind, I wasn't, I mean, I didn't act on anything. I didn't do anything, as far as like being gay. So, I mean, I definitely took offense to it, and it got exhausting trying to argue my case in point. Um, I mean, so I personally, I don't know if I would call it being bullied or being harassed, but I mean, yeah, people would press me on it all the time. So, um, and like I said, it would just make me feel, like I said, stressed, angry, confused. Like, why do people see me as gay? Because, the way I was raised, I thought that was a terrible thing to be. You know what I'm saying? So it would really bother me when people would always say that about me. I wouldn't necessarily say that I struggled with mental health, as a player. And even now, I wouldn't say that I've ever struggled with mental health. Obviously looking back, especially my sophomore year, well, pretty much most of my college playing career, I could say that I was depressed at times, but I wouldn't say depressed in a way that, it affected my daily routines or affected my performance in the classroom or on the court or anything like that. So, and just because I've heard people's experiences with depression and anxiety and stuff like that, and how they fight mental health, I wouldn't necessarily say that I've struggled with mental health. Um, my emotional, my physical, uh, so basketball, different coaches, I didn't see eye to eye with most of my coaches or anything. Personally, yes, I did have a bad attitude, but at the same time, like, I was an extremely hard worker, and I felt like that was often overlooked a lot. Um, and I didn't play as much as I thought I should or whatever, and so that bothered me as well. So and with basketball being basically my livelihood, I struggled a lot in college. I didn't see myself as somebody worthy enough to be on the team, obviously, because I wasn't playing that much. But it took until after I got done playing to realize, you're more than just your abilities on the court. Um, a lot people have different people have different roles on the team, and for the coaches that I played for, my role at the time, or different circumstances changes throughout the season, of course, but at the time it wasn't to be a scorer, it wasn't to play this many minutes or whatever. But and, being a player or whatever, all you see is, okay, well, if I don't play, then the coach has me messed up, or I'm not good enough, or whatever. And so yeah, I would say for pretty much the majority of my playing career, I was always stressed. I always saw myself as less or not good enough. Um, I just wasn't, for a majority of my career, I wasn't happy playing basketball. And it's just crazy because I love basketball, but I was so hard on myself that I didn't really let myself enjoy it. Like I had coaches in the past tell me, like, it's hard for me to get onto you because you're already so hard on yourself. And, I would shut down, I would make mistakes, and, like, I don't know. It's basketball to me. Basketball, I didn't really enjoy basketball. I didn't let myself enjoy basketball. Um, so I didn't really balance my emotional health that well in that aspect. I mean, my physical health, anytime anything was bothering me, I'd go to the gym. I'd get shots up, I work on my game, or I would work out. And, I would just constantly consume myself in that because, well, if me working in the gym, that made me feel like, okay, I'm working on myself, I'm working on getting better. And then, just in the weight room is it's my happy place. I love to work out. But let's see. How can teams improve in regards to managing players' mental health and recognizing it? With me being a basketball coach, that is a very solid question because, I never really dove into having that conversation with my players. Me being a second year coach anyway, I never went, and I guess it's kind of a conversation that you have with your head coach on how you want to address mental health, or if you even do address mental health. Um, but how can teams improve in regards to managing players' mental health? I would say, let your players know that you have an open door. Um, you know, because when your players feel that they can't come to you, and a lot of them feel like that they can't, go to their teammates. It's like, who do they go to? Because a lot of people don't really seek counseling or seek a therapist or whatever. So I feel like, just stressing the fact that we do have open door policy that's confidential. You can talk to your coaches about whatever you need to talk to your coach about. Or having, I don't know, like some type of exercise where they write down whatever issues they're having, before practice. They write down whatever issues they're having or whatever, and then tell them, crumple it up, throw it away, and you just leave it at that, because that those problems don't define you. I don't know. It's different. I feel like it's different exercises you could do. I haven't really dove into what all I could do to help address and manage my players' mental health. Well, with what I went through, I didn't necessarily have. I couldn't go to my coaches in a sense. I didn't feel comfortable to go to my coaches about my problems. I mean, obviously, like, I would talk to my teammates who I was most closest with, but at the end of the day, seeking support from other people doesn't necessarily do you over. I would say, my support system, I really leaned on God, because there's just so much that I don't understand, so much that I don't know. So I just pray. I talk to my mans above all the time. And it's funny because at the time, when you're going through things, you may not necessarily get the answer that you need, but you get it later. And, like, after I'm done playing, I got some of the answers that I was asking for back then. Yeah. Like I said, I can look back to how I reacted and acted in certain situations, and with me being a coach now, like, I realized, like, a lot of situations I was in the wrong, just me being hard on myself. That's something that I struggle with even now to this day. But with me going through that and me being able to coach girls now, coach young women, I can help them go through that, because a lot of people are, they're their own worst enemy. And me being a coach close to their age, like, when I notice somebody's really, beating themselves up on the court, I what I didn't have, as a player, I pull them aside, like, you're fine, like, you can make mistakes. And I feel like, having that person to tell you that it's okay to make mistakes, it makes it easier on yourself, because a lot of people have high expectations for themselves, and a lot of people beat themselves up when they don't, achieve those expectations. So I feel like me being able to learn from how I treated myself as a player, I can help my players now kind of fight that, and not make that as such a debilitating aspect in their playing, in their ability to play. It's hard to step beside yourself and look at a perspective other than your own. And with me experiencing the self torture, I feel like that was the worst part of my playing career. I'm able to help my players now combat that. But yeah, I feel like I'm able to step beside myself and put myself in my player's shoes, so I don't necessarily jump the gun too quickly about, okay, you're weak, or you're just doing this, you're just doing that, because sometimes your coaches they don't know everything. You don't tell your coaches everything. And me being a player, I definitely didn't tell my coaches a lot of things. So just being able to take a step back and look at the situation, look at your players, see what they're going through, I think that's what I've been able to do better at, and I'm getting better at being a coach. And I feel like I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have that playing experience. So but that I would say I try to answer those questions the best that I can. But yeah, that is my story.